Section 27. The department shall make regulations and guidelines for the structure, command, control, and operations, as well as payment of stipends to the task force. That was very straightforward, because if you don't pay them, they'll pay themselves. It's the way that the Nigerian system goes. So we make sure that they get paid. Then payment of stipend. The task force shall be paid a stipend from contributions from the state and local governments, as the governor may determine, and from donations. And this is what is very important. From donations from public-spirited individuals and organizations. This is why I told you earlier that there are many aspects of the law that has not yet been rolled out. It's supposed to be a participatory thing. It's a community thing. First need of it is that livestock management in Benue State should be done without the barrel of the gun. It should be done in a symbiotic way. You win and I win, whoever is involved. The dream of the Benue State government, like I told you, the first civilian governor of Benue State, Mr. Peraku, started. He put ranches on ground. This is in the early 80s. At that time, there was nothing like farmer-herder crisis, but there was still 5 ranches put down in this very state by the governor.
Where are the ranches now?
Most of them are gone, you know, like what happened to most government establishments. The biggest one was in Kyogen, that's towards Cross River, boundaries with Cross River State. Very beautiful area there. It was fantastic settlement. We had both the exotic species of the cattle and the local species of cattle in that place. Gradually, they faded out. So these ranches were there very early to show you that Benue has always had a vision of maximizing our resources for livestock breeding. Because Benue is in the middle of Nigeria. We have the climate and the fauna and flora of the far north of Nigeria. We have the climate, fauna, and flora of the southern part of Nigeria. So almost any kind of grass that grows far in the far north can grow in Benue. The ones growing down south grows in Benue. So we combine both sides of the country. And then, of course, we have a lot of surface water in Benue. So the environment is ideal for livestock. There's so much of production of a variety of grains and root crops and tubers in the state. Leaves, all kinds. So Benue is ideal. And every person that rears cattle, rears goats, donkeys, sheep, things like that, even birds, the poultry area, turkeys and other things, they see Benue as a place to go. So when we look at livestock in Benue, we don't look at just the Fulani man or the Hausa man or the Kanuri man. We look at the Tiv man, the Igede man, the Idoma person, the Jukun person. The community, Idoma and Tiv communities in Benue State have had their own cattle, the ones that don't have horns, and it's for up to 300-400 years before the Fulani long-horn cattle came into this area. So we are not new to cattle rearing. And so when those cows came, it's like, okay, you have your cows, they are different from ours. We have our own, different from yours. We need a nono of our own type of cattle produce a different type of milk. We are not so much used to goat milk, but those that come from the far northern places, they have goat milk and they have cow milk. And all these are all things that become useful to the community. No, the cow milk is something which our communities here, all Benue communities, drink nono. And in those days, even up till today, the milk girl, the milk-selling girl, is welcome in every part of Benue State. So that is it. It's the community is at peace. The community is at ease. The community welcomes every member of the Nigerian society that is here. So that is it for the composition of this Livestock Special Task Force. And that takes us to 20, of course, we finished that to 29, which is the power to arrest and detain. These are some of the areas that a lot of people are worried about. Yeah, you see, now that's a word, indiscriminately.
Yes, just go to anywhere and
No, they don't pack. They
Because
don't.
those people are not Benue people.
No.
They don't even care.
Now, the
Which
thing
not
is,
right.
number one, they are not Benue people. That one is very far from the truth. There is a law in Benue State, and the law says you can't graze your cows inside Benue. Benue enforcement agencies don't go to Nasarawa State to arrest cows. They don't go to Plateau State. They don't go to Cross River State. They don't go to Enugu State. They don't go to Kogi State. These are all the states around us. So if within Benue they arrest people who are grazing their cows illegally, it's as simple as that. The law has been made. The thing is, how many times have you contravened the law? It's very clearly stated. If you are a first offender, it's different. This environment that we are taking this interview, if you look out here as you are coming, you will see goats. All the goats are tied. They all have leashes on them. They have ropes tying them. These goats are owned by Idoma, Tiv, Igede people, Kanuri, Jukum people this is in the urban area. And nobody's goats, and they are not Fulani goats. They are not goats owned by Hausa people. They are owned by indigenous of this state, and all of them have tied their goats. If any of these goats here in this environment that we are sitting here taking this interview now, if the goats stray into anybody's property and destroys it, they will still be settled. The community leaders will meet, and they will tell you that there is the law, prohibition of open grazing. The law is there. It applies to everybody. Now, the word indiscriminate arrest cannot apply, because how do you arrest somebody indiscriminately? It's like saying an armed robber was arrested indiscriminately when he was near a bank with a gun. I mean, you can't say it's indiscriminate that they are arresting armed robbers indiscriminately, or they are arresting burglars indiscriminately, or like you are in Abuja and you're just standing by the roadside and you are pissing, and you are arrested by the Environmental Sanitation Task Force. That's not indiscriminate. You've broken the law. Even you could say you are not aware. I know, I'm sure you know the fact that ignorance of the law is not an excuse. So there is no indiscriminate arrest inside Benue. The moment you are inside Benue and moving your cows up and down, of course, automatically you have already offended. You don't need to damage anybody's property before you are arrested. The first offense is that you are carrying your... the first offense... The first offense is that you are carrying your livestock around on foot within Benue State, outside a ranch. The law is very simple, yet it is very complex. You need to be in your farm. Because the moment you are outside your farm, you are outside your ranch, you're breaking the law. So there is nothing like, and you see, citizens' arrest is even permitted. If they are in your farm and you can arrest the person that has brought the cows or detain the cows, you detain them there, then call the police. Because the law states very clearly, don't detain anybody beyond 48 hours without the law enforcement agencies being there. So every regulation, every guideline to make sure that there is nothing like indiscriminate arrest is taken care of. Nobody is arrested indiscriminately in Benue State. The law is very clear. You can't do indiscriminate arrest. The law is clear about that. Then, of course, those who feel bad that they are arrested, it's like that. Like I keep giving the example of Lagos. Your car breaks down by the roadside, and before you can inflate your tire, last man comes and they jack it up and tow it away. You feel very bad. But the thing is, the law says you cannot constitute an obstruction on the highway. You can't. The law doesn't care how it happened. You will give explanations, but you will still pay the fine. So it's the same thing that applies. Okay? The law says don't carry your livestock, wander up and down into people's farms, into people's property, on the highway. Like I told you, there are sometimes you go into your church premises and the whole place is taken over by cattle. You go into your farm, they are taken over, and you can't even enter. So now, by the time you arrest such people who are in your own farm, it cannot be indiscriminate. It's a very correct arrest. So that's one of the things that the world needs to know about Benue's law. It's a law that is very carefully applied. It's just that it is a novel kind of law. And that's where Nigerians need to understand with us in Benue. We are the first group that are testing out this law that says if your livestock wander anyhow, the livestock can be arrested, is confiscated, it is kept for you, you come and pay the fine. In those days, sanitation authorities in all parts of Nigeria, both urban and rural, they enforced laws like that. They will arrest your animal and you pay a fine and you redeem it. But in the case of Benue, it is a total blanket. Any livestock will not be carried on foot going up and down in Benue State. So people must understand that the law is very open, is very lenient, is equitable, is fair, and is clear to all. The moment you are in Nasarawa State, this law doesn't apply to you. If you are in Plateau State, it doesn't apply to you. So even if you had your cattle in Benue and you knew that the livestock guards were coming and you were able to run quickly across the border, you are free. They don't chase people across the border. The moment you've gotten out of Benue borders, that's all. You're okay. So, and that's why we always say that it's very easy to comply. Compliance simply means stay outside Benue if you don't have a ranch. That's the easiest way to comply.